Do you think Brisbane needs another tunnel? A study by the Queensland government is currently looking into digging a tunnel under Gympie Road from Kedron to Carseldine in order to reduce chronic congestion around the Chermside precinct, something which is preventing its evolution into a regional business centre. Think tank Suburban Futures has released a concept for what the Chermside area could look like if the tunnel happens. And let me tell you, it looks amazing. So let's investigate what a Chermside bypass tunnel could do for the area. I'm Mel Pikos, and today we're talking tactics. While not as many as some cities, Brisbane has its fair share of tunnels. We've got the Clem 7 tunnel under the river, the Legacy Way tunnel connecting the western suburbs into the city, and the Airport Link tunnel linking the airport to the CBD. So do we need another road tunnel under our city? One that we are likely to have to pay a toll to use? Brisbane's evolution as a city has been very much car-centric, and as such, it was the home of Australia's first major suburban shopping centre in Chermside in 1957. And that emphasis on vehicle priority has put the suburb in a position it finds itself in now.
Well, currently it's got 76,000 vehicle movements a day. That's almost equivalent to the volume that the Gateway carries at Boondall. Well, that's insane for a local road, but it's effectively a local road. But it's only one of a few options on that north-south connection. If you take heavy and light commercial vehicles using that section of Gympie Road near the Hamilton Road intersection, which is sort of the worst bit of it, you've got about 30% of all of the vehicle movements are commercial. And a lot of them are 18-wheelers working their way between lights that are only 500 metres apart, gears going, the air brakes going, it's just horrible.
Ross Elliott is the co-founder of Suburban Futures, a think tank established to highlight the critical role that suburbs play in the economy, vibrancy and livability of the nation. He is also the chairman of the Lord Mayor's Better Suburbs initiative and spent many years in leadership roles within the Property Council, so he knows a few things about improving local areas.
I just really think that Chermside in the future, if we do fix that traffic, because it's an abomination that it's been allowed to go on this long and be so bad, it could be not a second CBD, but it could be a very significant business hub for the north side.
Since the 1960s, the area along Gympie Road has been preserved as the North-West Transport Corridor. Initially, a study recommended a freeway to be built between the CBD and Aspley via Everton Park and the Grange. While that was abandoned in the 1970s, the corridor was kept for future use as an arterial road. While there have been multiple studies and recommendations into solutions for congestion, including road, rail and public transport options to realign movements on the north side, nothing has ever eventuated. A 2-year, $10 million business case confirmed the congestion issues between Brisbane and the Moreton Bay Regional Council area, but also concluded that developing the North-West Transport Corridor was not the solution. Recommended in this business case was an 11-kilometre tunnel connecting from Airport Link at Stafford, running out to the Bruce Highway at Bald Hills, a second 11-kilometre tunnel from Indooroopilly to Airport Link by 2041, possibly as a spur from the Legacy Way tunnel, an extension of the Brisbane Metro service out to Aspley, and future rail services on Brisbane's north side to go underground, possibly in this same tunnel. It was argued that this underground tunnel would have reduced the traffic jams around Chermside and could have carried around 109,000 vehicles per day if free, or around 61,000 vehicles per day if it had a toll. This business case was rejected by Infrastructure Australia, who said that building an above-ground corridor should be reconsidered. But bulldozing a great swath of bushland doesn't sound like a great idea to me, and Brisbane City Council also agrees that we should be preserving our city's green space. In June 2023, the Queensland government announced a new $35 million study into the viability of a tunnel again, which will also avoid any surface level constructions and will follow a similar tunnel alignment to what previous studies on the tunnel had been considered.
I'm in the wrong business, I should be doing those business cases. I'll do it for a fraction of that. I think the good news from Suburban Futures' point of view is that the proposal for that tunnel connection that they're talking about now, we first put forward in 2019. But as you say, we embarked on the Northwest Corridor, we looked at that, we discounted it for the reasons you've just mentioned, plus the fact that it's about 20 kilometres long, so the cost would have been frightening, really prohibitive. This thing is about 9 or 10. kilometres long.
Do you have an estimate of how
I've
much?
heard 6 billion, which might be jointly funded between a private operator, which would probably be toll, and the government, as most things tend to be now.
The new proposed tunnel will run from just north of Beams Road at Carseldine all the way through to Kedron, where it will connect with the Airport Link Tunnel. The state member for Stafford, Gympie Sullivan, said, by taking through traffic underground, Gympie Road could go back to its original purpose of connecting locals to local destinations.
From the point of view of living in and near Chermside, it would be a bit like what happened to Nunda. No one used to want to admit to living in Nunda. Then all of a sudden, Nunda took off to the extent that people started moving into Northgate to be near Nunda. And the exact same thing could happen in Chermside.
Nunda is another north side suburb, also anchored by a major suburban centre, although Toombul Shopping Centre has now been decommissioned following the 2021 floods, which damaged it beyond repair. It was previously skewered by a major arterial, Sandgate Road, and was a suburban business district in decline. In 2001, a bypass was opened which diverted through traffic away from the main Nunda village area by constructing a short tunnel underneath Bay Street.
The Chermside bypass was finished in around about year 2000. But importantly, what council did was change the land use. It was a traffic sewer, so yes, in common with Chermside. If you didn't solve the traffic, you never got the village back. And for that 60 odd million year 2000 dollars, there's now been over $800 million worth of development happen in and around that Nunda village. So that's a real ROI, right? So it's not perfect. Like Nunda's got its problems like anywhere else in the city has got its problems, but it's a load better than what it used to be like. You can go to one of those pubs there now and get a nice meal, whereas 20 years ago you go there and get a fight. That's the difference.
Chermside could become the next Nunda, a Nunda on steroids, as Ross has said. But we still need to improve the public transport options to the area, something which this new study doesn't quite seem to look at closely enough. There have been plenty of arguments and requests for a rail line to be built in the area. Personally, I just don't see this happening. It's just going to be far too expensive to build the infrastructure for that. But luckily, Brisbane City Council already has a new public transport option with the ability to extend its lines out to these areas at a fraction of the price of heavy rail infrastructure. The Brisbane Metro.
The great thing about the Metro is that it uses the existing road network, so you don't need to rebuild the road network. You might have to enhance it a little bit to make the Metro more functional, but it can use the existing road space. So that's a real asset. We don't need to put wires overhead and we don't need to put tracks in the ground. That's another massive saving. The routes can change based on the changing nature of the urban environment, where people work, where the social infrastructure is, what the patterns of travel are. The Metro can change a lot easier. So it's not only cheaper, but I think it's just a more sensible solution.
The Metro will already have its own line on Gympie Road. It's currently ending at Hurston, but extending it up to Chermside is an absolute no-brainer. All of our major nodes should really have mass transit options. Brisbane Metro will allow us to do that at a far cheaper cost than constructing rail lines. What do you think a bypass would achieve for somewhere like Chermside?
So at the moment they're looking at continuing the tunnel from more or less the airport link where it exits northbound onto Stafford Road and Gympie Road, continuing underground all the way to Carseldine, which is fantastic. But you need to be able to pop up in and out at Chermside, because that I think will be the key to Chermside becoming a true regional business centre. I mean, it really triggers a lot of opportunity on the surface. It makes it far more attractive to businesses, to workers, all of it.
What do you think Chermside could look like post it being completed?
Well, currently it's got 76,000 vehicle movements a day. So if you get all that out of the way, which then allows you to reclaim some of the road, widen the footpaths, introduce tree plantings, pedestrian-friendly environments, and ultimately bring a metro, extend that up to Chermside. Lots more residential, but also a lot more commercial space, education, vertical schools, university campus, entertainment, recreation, short-term accommodation, all of it. There's plenty of room.
This design is a provocation, a look at what Chermside could become with a bypass tunnel, and to me, it looks gorgeous. Suburban renewals like this are a great thing for the city we live in and could do wonders for a precinct like Chermside. Increasing density in these precincts will allow more key workers to be housed near where they actually work. Extending mass transit like the Brisbane Metro service all the way up to Chermside is a no-brainer. But there's plenty more to the Metro service that will make it a game changer for Brisbane's public transport network. So check out my video on the Metro service where I explore exactly how it works, where it's going, and how it's going to benefit you. Thanks for watching. We've been talking tactics.